Lecture, we will be talking about HSL panel in Lightroom. This panel basically gives you complete control and dominance over selective colors. These colors basically includes all of the colors that are presented in your image separately or in combination with each other. HSL refers to hue, saturation, and luminance. What is hue? Hue is different shades of a color. And you can use hue side by side with the color too. We can use hue instead of color. And what it does is it will change the shades of that color to different shades or different colors. Lightroom lets you modify or change these selective colors: magenta, purple, blue, aqua, green, yellow, orange, and red. And in this example, we see that this yellow door, I want to change it to green. And we know that this color is yellow, so in the yellow slider, we can change the hue of the yellow to green or orange. If you go to the right side, we'll be going towards green, and if we go to the left side, we will be going towards yellow. Basically, we are changing the yellow to green or orange using the hue slider. And another way to select a color and change its hue is by this picker. By clicking on it, we will get this plus button and select you the areas that you want to change or the color that you want to change, and drag your cursor upward or downward. We see that it has selected orange color too, because this door contains some shades of yellow also, orange. And we know that we are changing it to green or orangish tint. And for example, I want to change the color of this light, and we know that they have the same color with the door, so it will be changing the door's color too. So keep in mind that while changing one color in one area, the same color will be affected in all parts of your image that color is present. In this example, for example, I want to change the hue of this color. Just by clicking on the picker and selecting the color, we can move downwards or upwards, and the hue of the color will be changed. And we see that we have changed the color from greenish to a little bit of cyanish. The next slider or the panel or the section is saturation. Saturation is fairly easy to explain. Saturation is the intensity of a color. And the same thing, we can select the colors with this picker, and by going upward or downwards, we'll be changing the saturation of that color. As you're seeing in here, we are adding saturation to the yellow, and the yellow color is getting extreme. And as I said before, that with saturation, be careful, don't go over too much, because it will create weird colors and it will look very fake. Same thing in here. If you want to change the saturation of this color, select it and drag downward or upwards. The next panel is luminance. Luminance is the brightness of that color, and we see that we can change the luminance of that color to bright or dark. Similar to other sections, we have the picker too, and we can use that also. Since these effects are separately, we can stack them together and use them in combination with each other. Let's see, I want to change the color of this yellow to green. So we know that we can change its shade to green, and I want to add saturation. We can do this by going to saturation section and change the saturation of the yellow color. I want to make it a little bit brighter, and we can do that by going to luminance and changing the luminance of yellow color. This is the before and this is the after. We have changed the color of the door completely. And in some areas that we cannot specify a specific color, we can use this picker to specify colors, and Lightroom will automatically specify some colors for us, and we can change that. For example, as you are seeing in here, we can change the hue or saturation or luminance of this wooden wall. We want to change its saturation and change the saturation of the door to match with this environment. Now we have a desaturated wall and a saturated door. This will create popping effect. This image looks much better than the original. Using this panel, you can create by controlling hue, saturation, and luminance. We can bring realism to our images and make the images as natural as possible, the colors of an image. And also we can depart from realism and create surreal colors and artistic looks to our images. And as we discussed before, the saturation of colors and the colors also convey emotions. So less saturated colors gives a sadness and moody vibes. Mostly saturated colors gives a happy and brighter emotions. So let's change the colors of an image to the complete opposite of that image. Let's change this image to a fall image and change the colors completely and go as far as from realism as possible. We know that this image has lots of green, so I want to change or take the green and change its shade or hue towards yellowish because I want to create a fall effect and also yellow, and there is some orange present in this image also. Let's change that a little bit. And let's go to our saturation slider and increase the saturation of yellows and greens to make the green that we have changed to yellow a little bit pop better and be visible. And yeah, with just a few sliders and adjustments of a few colors, let's change the brightness of yellow luminance to be more visible and change the luminance of green. And yeah, just like that, with a few sliders, we changed the colors of this image drastically and went as far as from realism in this image as possible. We know that this image wasn't fall, and we have created a fall vibe in this image. Now let's see how the same results or same edits works with other images. To do that, we need to copy these things or the changes that we made to this image onto another one. This is probably the mostly used option because when editing with Lightroom, you might be needing to add or to copy the same settings, the same edits to all of your photos. To do that, just go to the thumbnail of the image on your timeline, right click, develop setting, click on copy settings, and a separate window will pop up. Or you can just use its shortcut Ctrl Shift V, Ctrl Shift C, and Ctrl Shift V is used to paste that setting. And in this copy setting, we see all of the edits for each and every panels of develop module. And you can select which setting to copy and which one to not. So we will just check all and copy the settings. And the image that I want to apply that settings is this image. To do that, again, right click, develop module, and paste setting. Or you can use Ctrl Shift V, and the settings automatically will be applied to that image. Remember these shortcuts because you will be using that a lot in Lightroom. See you in the next lecture. We will be talking about HSL panel for the black and white images.